Oh, hello there. Thank you for joining me. My name is Vic Chonis. This is my second video specifically focused on the magical mushroom psychedelics and alternative medicines and the stocks that we can play to take advantage of this very exciting, very new and burgeoning market. It was a tremendous week in these stocks. Some of them are going parabolic. They're getting found. The money flow that's been flowing into these has been quite dynamic, and the exponential nature of it reminds me a lot of some of the early days of the marijuana stock boom, as well as the early days of the crypto boom. So let's get right into it, and I want to start with the big one, the winner of the week, winner of the month. We have done it. It is a full 10 bag, 1,000% move from the 0.33 consolidation, which happened all through the summer, June, July, August. I remember as a holder of this then thinking to myself, when is this going to break out? When is something going to happen? Well, let's face it, it did not take very long. It did not take very long at all here, from the initial breakout stages to 1,000% under 3 months. But let's look at what really we have here. This is MMEDF. It is traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange as MMED and on the OTC US Exchange as MMDDF. The F denotes that it is a Canadian company. This one has been profiled, backing from Kevin O'Leary and others, and we can see the tremendous volume bars and money flow flowing into this and the incredible move. I do want to talk about this purely from a technical charting standpoint though, so let's get into it. I want to zoom out to our daily chart. Okay, you know, another 30% day almost on Friday's price action. Couple things to really consider here. Just a great technical pattern here of this bull flag consolidation we had just a few weeks ago, and we started the new month here, and then the breakout from that has been tremendous. All the dips have been for buying, and we have also created on the daily chart several more gaps in the price action that we definitely have to keep an eye on, you know, overall. Now, what's interesting about this, again, I keep talking about it, is just the volume bars. It's just been tremendous over the past several weeks and months as money flow, you know, continues to flow into the stock and into the overall sector. Just from a pure technical standpoint here, we're getting the expansion of our Bollinger Bands, the broadening of that, such as what we had seen maybe in the extremes of the Bitcoin parabolic move. We're way over the upper Bollinger on a very wide spread here. Again, I'm only on the daily chart. We have an on-balance volume that is parabolic right now. We have a chalk-in money flow that is continuing to rise higher. And remember, it's all about that zero line there, and we are still holding nicely above that. Now here's where we start to think about the risk versus reward at this current price point. We have a daily RSI now over 90, historical all-time high for this particular stock here. Of course, we can go higher, but we have to keep that in mind that we have a very high daily RSI, a doubling of our stochastic as well, and just a full spread of our MACD with a highest histogram to date so far. So the way that I will want to consider playing this longer term is I don't want to chase at this moment. If you haven't been in this, or if you have and been slowly taking profits along the way, which is what I've basically been doing. I sure wish I had my original, you know, shares that I purchased way down here at this point here. But let's face it, as a prudent investor and day trader, you know, you have to take profits all the way, even if you love the story and you think that over a longer period of time, this stock has much more running room potential. I think the thing that really stands out here is that the narrative of these becoming NASDAQ uplist stocks. Remember, we're still on the OTC here. This is still a very young, and because on OTC, I mean, this is not on the Robinhood platform yet, which I think will be very big once we get the uplist to NASDAQ. And we're pretty close here over the next few weeks, I believe, as long as we're able to maintain more or less this price point to have that uplist happen, and then others will eventually follow. So MMEDF was the bigger percentage winner of the week, and the way it was able to basically close out on Friday's price action surely has brought a lot more eyes into the overall sector. The next one I want to talk about is LKYSF, also known as NUMI, on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Again, I'm on the daily chart. Another example here of blasting way above the upper Bollinger here, okay, on tremendous volume. Look at the past 3 days of volume compared to, you know, historically. We can really start to see now that overall money flow is flowing in. I've been watching this religiously on the daily. I've been trading it. I've been investing in it. What's amazing is all these dips, all these volatile candles have been, you know, buying opportunities along the way, as we're still basically able to kind of maintain this overall parabola as it keeps climbing. Now, this is another one here that's kind of gotten away from itself over the past, you know, few weeks here. We have to keep this in the context of, let's just call it from just the first of the month here. You know, we're already up over 100% this month in the past 2 weeks. So we have to keep that into context as to where we are in the life cycle here. And where we want to establish, you know, clearing areas of support and resistance. Now, talk about resistance, there isn't any. We have officially entered blue sky, whether it's this here, or let's just call it $1 here, this fat wick that happened back in July. We've obviously been able to come, you know, full circle, and we have created the smiley face pattern, and it is grinning from ear to ear because we have done the full wraparound with a higher high. So now we are in blue sky breakout, and we are now entering this new bullish, potentially price discovery phase. Now, obviously, this dollar mark here is kind of the area we want to focus on. I'd even say, you know, as low as 94, 95 without volatility, and then especially our bounce we had here at the lows of Thursday, which were as low as 81 cents, where the buy up was very strong. And as you can see, that kind of corresponds with its debut here back in early May. So another example here of a blue sky breakout from historic standpoints, but very strong on bounce volume, a CMF above our zero line, and then, going back to the daily here, let's focus on the daily for sure. Again, OBV off the chart, CMF above zero line and rising, and again, another 90 plus daily RSI, and a double Dutch here on our stochastic RSI. So we need to keep this in the context of a, yes, tremendous, beautiful, bullish Friday candle, but we are in areas here where we might need to get that kind of blow off top to basically flush out a lot of the early people here and kind of give them a reason to take, you know, excellent profits, even if you're a believer of this from a stock perspective, to be up over 100 or 200 or 300%. in days or even weeks, it's just prudent to take some off the table and to pay yourself and to reward yourself from taking the risk of being an early investor in this and the others as well. Excuse me. Let's keep moving on here. Rvvtf, another example here. We were watching this on a lower time frame. We had our rising wedge kind of breakout. Back to daily for a second here. Bounce off support and then extension. Another one here that we're getting very close, okay, to that blue sky breakout. From a wick perspective, hard to see. You know, this was probably a paint here at the 49 cents area back in July. Nevertheless, it does denote our line in the sand as to where we want to achieve above to get that blue sky. Don't really care about this guy here, but breakout potential. Chart looks great. Again, we're seeing things like our on balance volume just skyrocket as accumulation is happening. We have a slightly lower daily RSI here, only 82. So the potential here for a little more running room without being the extremes of the first two we talked about here. Gorgeous consolidation here in our daily stochastic, potential for, you know, one more upper up on the wraparound there, and just a very nice clean expansion here of our MACD with a higher high on our histogram. So everything is very similar to the last two, except the fact that this has yet to have, from a percentage standpoint and technically speaking, even though we are up so big over the past, you know, few weeks here, the potential for a little more running room based on that RSI because of comparing it to the extremes of the other ones there. Next one I wanted to focus on is Cmps. This for now is kind of the only big one that is traded on NASDAQ. Just an incredible Friday candle here. We had those 2 days of a little bit of consolidation here. We were very tight in this overall kind of rising wedge here, if you will. Wanted to see maybe this kind of break down. We kind of were breaking down, but then we kind of popped up. Now, we are still hitting the underside resistance, you could argue, if you keep it kind of tight here. We broke through, and then we kind of did like a loop up, but we're still rejecting kind of the underside of this area of support, or maybe we're just right there back into it. Kind of subjective here. Either way, from a closing candle, I mean, we definitely, this is our highest close. We can see we actually opened up here. It was a gap open. We brought it all the way back down to 54, but still breaking out of this channel with conviction here, with relative volume, and then we can see how that translates here on a very nice running bull flag on our on balance volume. Again, CMF very strong here, and a daily RSI that's only at 69. So we talk about running room here where we have daily RS9s on MMEDF and LKYSF over 90, and we're still at 69 here. And that basically shows that this one potentially has more running room if we're going to see that kind of parabolic advances on this one that we've seen on the other ones. Again, this is CMPS. This is traded currently on the NASDAQ. Let's go through some more here. Champion brands or SHRMF. Again, we always talk about our volume here, and our volume, this is what I talked about on last week's show, how the volume was what was the most intriguing part of everything here. This one kind of started late. We weren't really seeing the volume into last week's price action. This week's though, boy, did it come in, and it came in fierce. And there was our run up here, you know, just in the week of the price action here, you know, almost 100% runner there as well with our volume spike. Now we have poked above, you know, the defaults for the RSI are 70-30. I've increased them to 80-20. And the reason doing is it adds a little more conservatism to here, where if 70 is supposed to be kind of the extreme of the RSI, then 80, well, that must be even more extreme. So it shows you that we're at a little over 81. Again, comparing this to MMEDF or another one, 90 is where they are. So potential for running room here to get, much higher. Now, this is different in terms of where blue sky breakout. This actually has quite a bit of work ahead of it. The 170s is really where we want to see this basically achieve. But as you can see, volume precedes price. We're getting the volume, the price has moved, but we can see running room to get all the way up to, we want to get that smile, right? We want to get the big smile here. So there is still running room here in this one relative to the other ones we have discussed. And to get to that blue sky breakout area, we actually have another 100% move in play just to even reject, if you will, on the stock's overall historic all-time highs. Let's keep it moving here again, guys. I am Big Chonas. This is my second video devoted specifically to the magical mushroom stocks. If you are enjoying my content, please hit that thumbs up. I do greatly appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Let's keep it going here. My list here is about 20 or so. I did add a couple this week. We see this. We see a new industry, whether it's medical marijuana or blockchain technology, and we tend to see a lot of stocks kind of jump on that bandwagon overnight. They become these specific companies in this industry. So I actually added a couple through the week here, and probably will continue to add some as I get more information as to which of these shells are being transformed into these magical mushroom stocks. Take a look at SILO. Now, if you're not too how do I say this? If you're not too versed in trading OTC markets, normally these are extremely thin markets with very low liquidity. Often there's a lot of chop and kind of nothingness, and then all of a sudden volume will pop in out of nowhere, and you'll get a more of a dynamic chart. A lot of these mushroom stocks have not moved yet, even though we've seen the tremendous advances of the ones I've discussed so far. So, if you feel you've missed out on some of the easy early money, yes, you have, but there's still several others that haven't had these runs yet, are still being found. And again, these are still opportunities with the proper risk management that should be on your radar. I mean, silo, psilocybin, think about the names of some of these, and that will trigger people, just like medical marijuana stocks, MJNA, medical marijuana, or hemp, grow room. These are things that kind of, it sounds like weed, well, things that sound like mushrooms, psychedelic, psilo, things that sound like a mushroom, numi, these are things that basically kind of coordinate and correlate into this overall pattern. This is an early one here. It is OTC. Again, not a lot of movement here, but we can see that our on-balance volume is starting to kick up. I believe this is being accumulated at these prices here, and you can see the chart's super choppy because it's just had zero liquidity forever. But as you can see, we are building a base, right, between 32 and 50, and once we're able to break up there, these are little paints and fat fingers on the overall history here, but from a historic charting perspective, it really isn't until mid 250s where we actually talk about the overall historic blue skies here. So it's a possibility. This one is just very early in this accumulation zone. I personally do have a position in this one here and hoping it can do something like a lot of the other ones were able to do as well. Let's take a look at this one here. Cybin, again, psilocybin, that is the chemical in the mushroom, just as like THC is what's in weed. And here's another example here. Now, this is OTC, but also this is gray market. I talked about what the gray market is in the last video. There's no market makers on this. There's technically no bid or ask. You just basically have to put in a purchase based on what the last fill was. I also do hold this one and have been accumulating it for some time. And as you can see, we're starting to get some momentum here as we had a gap up and a run. Now, this one here is in blue sky because it just doesn't have a lot of history. It really didn't take much. And we can see here, limited history, OBV very strong, and there's our daily RSI here. Again, just a small amount of history, but we're in the mid 80s here. So this is an example here of something that's super young, limited chart history. It's not even worth putting indicators. We kind of know what's happening here, but this is something that's being accumulated, and we know this based on our volume bars and the overall volume structure. Let's talk about TRUFF. This is one here. Again, this is on the gray market. This is a company that actually has a storefront, in Holland, Amsterdam, and I believe in Canada as well. And you can see some of the volume here. Again, this is on the gray market. It's still very young. But remember, MMEDF, which was the first one I talked about, was also on the grays. Like this price action back here, okay, this was gray market price action for quite a while until it reached a status where it had market makers. Still on the OTC overall, but it took some time. And once it did, you can see how that plays out there. So even though something is on the gray market now, isn't necessarily the worst thing, because we can see examples of in the future how that can really translate and overall be a tremendous positive for the valuation of the stock. So other big mover here, again, we're seeing our RSIs here over 84. We're seeing very strong accumulation. OBV again is just off the chart. That's a very bullish chart there. And from the daily perspective, this thing was literally up every day this week. Big moves, big moves, big moves. And every every time there's been a dip, there's been buying opportunities here. I am a holder of this one. I was accumulating in this area here and prudently have been taking profits, little nibbles and stuff through the week. But again, we are still early in this. So we have to keep the context of we've gone so far so quickly on so many of these. But the opportunities from a longer time horizon, don't fire all your shots on this right here. You might, we might have lots of more easy, free, money room that can blast this significantly higher here. I don't know when these begin to pull back and consolidate, but everything pulls back and consolidates at some point. You have to keep a longer term perspective. A lot of this stuff is kind of really come into its own next year. The 2021 price action, that's where we have to keep an eye on. Okay, we only got a few more weeks left of this year. Okay, these are still early in this process here. Don't get too ahead of yourself, but I believe it's important to have exposure to several of these, knowing that we're still very early and we're just doing this from an accumulation standpoint where we want to continue to potentially buy dips as the whole sector, in my opinion, is extremely bullish. WUHN, WUHN, this is a OTC. Again, this has a lot more history here. As you can see, we go all the way back to all the way back. This is almost 20 years of price history here. Now, again, this has had a different share structure along the way. So when it was up at like $17, there were probably significantly fewer shares in the overall structure here. Decades of dilution has brought this to where it is now. But from a pure shape of the chart standpoint, I mean, this is gorgeous here. And I laid out this channel on the last video, and you can see the resistance middle range support here, and now we're above it. And even though we had kind of a little tweezer here, we are actually closed above this key area of resistance, which goes all the way back till June. And you can see the next area we really want to tackle is up around 80 cents here. Okay, love the chart. This is a good looking longer term. It's taking some time here, but it's beginning to accelerate. I love the on-balance volume, looks good. Remember, we've seen RSIs over 80, over 90. This one's still at 68. So from a daily standpoint, it definitely hasn't gotten over its skis like some of the other ones surely have. Some are early, some are late. This is GTSIF, Loeb Sciences. Discussed the volume, right, on last week's show. There it is. There was our breakthrough. Now, again, not a lot of history here. We have a fat finger up to 31 cents. Technically, that is our history there of all-time highs. But as you can see, really, this long accumulation period, right, with a higher low double bottom. I love that, right? And now we're beginning to accelerate out of this zone here. We definitely had a little pullback action. I guess I can quantify something like that, right? And this resistance up here, I'd love to see this flag out over the next couple days or even weeks, okay? Establish a new area of support where we were below this, and now we are above this, right? And then continue on higher, and test the chance for that all-time high area there. Again, the oscillators are showing this is accumulation and such, but with an RSI at 69 here, the pullback, again, another example of buying the dip as long as we can see this support resistance SR flip area continues to hold. This is a good sign there. LibF, LIBFF, Nova Mentis Life Sciences. Again, some of these charts look a lot better than other ones here. I was noting our volume, our accumulation here, a very nice on-balance volume as well. Okay, this one's a little more subdued. Got an RSI on the daily only at 60. Okay, so we have momentum, but we also have running room, and the slow trickle of volume is starting to come in. Take a look at MYCOF here. Again, there's our volume. This one's weird. I actually haven't been able to purchase this one on Fidelity or E-Trade because it's limited information. I'm assuming this will change eventually. I'm pretty sure this is the one I'm referring to. Again, but there's the volume. There's the OBV spike. And, of course, there's our RSI just tickling 80 here as we speak. So good overall momentum. I would have had this one if I could have had this one. But again, this is a good looking chart here, right? We can see this long channel, okay, declining. There's resistance, turns support, and now we're advancing it with volume. And that's kind of what we want to see. We want to see that advance with that volume. A few other ones here I want to discuss. The last show I talked about how do we compare this industry to past, and the one I really wanted to focus on was CGC, and this is where I think we kind of are here in this overall thing. Is we had a tremendous accumulation for years, really, in this dollar-ish zone here. Again, this is I think this had a split, so this is split adjusted. I'm pretty sure this had a split, but anyways. This was also on the gray markets for quite a while. Then they got status. Then they got uplisted from OTC to the NASDAQ. And then you can see the real hype cycle began. And this went basically from the dollars all the way up to about $60 and then topped off there. But along the way, there was the initial parabolic advance. Whoa, I can't believe we're all going to get rich. This is happening. A very big pullback. And that pullback which was interesting, kind of brought us right to our golden pocket area of pullback. So here's an example here where we had our initial hype cycle, okay, a very strong and deep pullback, but we're able to hold golden pocket support, and then we were able to basically push to a much more of an extreme runner here. And from even just that pullback, okay, all the way up here, that was a 10 bagger all in itself, and overall this thing was up, a 40 bagger basically in itself, 4,000%. So this could be the roadmap for a lot of these mushroom stocks. We start small, we get our accumulation, we get our initial hype cycle, FOMO, momentum, parabolic blow off top, followed by a notable area of consolidation where we hit golden pocket support, and then have our real, meaningful advance where real wealth is created. As you can see, I'm extremely excited about the potential for a lot of these stocks. I do plan to add other ones, as I said, as we kind of move through. Remember, we can follow along with the Canadian stocks because these all are traded in Canada. Well, the ones that have the F on them as well. And you have a sense about these charts as well versus the US charts. Canadian charts are open on holidays where the US ones are not, and we can see basically how they did the days when the US stock market is closed and give us a sense of what we can expect the following day there. I still feel like this is just the beginning, even though we've had some of these tremendous runners, MMEDF, and we have, I don't know what's going to happen next week. The hype cycle continues here. No one's selling in great quantity. These are still being accumulated. At some point, there'll be a situation where it's just hard not to take a lot of profits off the table if you are up so much and don't want to give any of that back. But overall, I believe these are still long-term investments that with patience and prudence and your own due diligence, again, this is not investment advice per se. I'm not telling you to buy these or which ones to buy. I'm only telling you that I myself personally do have stakes in a lot of these tickers and have been swing trading them, day trading them, and then obviously overall accumulating them for a longer time horizon. The last stock I want to talk about is PSYC. This is an OTC play. It's had an interesting week. This one had a tremendous move earlier in the end of November to early December. Huge pop here, several hundred percentage points. We can see last week's, my little squiggle here, this is what I was looking for, accumulation in this area here, and then another advancement. Here has been our accumulation. We have buyers consistently every time we break 2 cents, and there is a nice close we had with volume on Friday. There's a very strong on-balance volume, and we still have a chance to keep our RSI in check, which is only at 68 compared to some of the other ones here. There's a whole slew of these, different ones, different share structures, the ones that are on the OTC, the few that are on the NASDAQ. And as I said, there will be other ones basically added to this as time goes on. Other ones that are kind of been keeping my eye on here, we're still looking for, again, this is such a similar pattern here, EVAHF, okay, a little bit of volume after a longer consolidation period and significant running room, right, to our all-time highs here. Lower volumes, lower volumes, lower volumes, but still we're having this consolidation area overall. Now there are some NASDAQ stocks that are, I'm still not sure how magical mushroom they truly are. One is SEEL, SEEL. Has a very interesting chart overall here. We've been kind of doing this elongated inverse HNS here. We're kind of hitting this resistance. We did poke our head above it, and arguably we kind of closed above it. So I'll keep an eye on this. They need to put out a little bit more data. Specifically, I know there was something about we're looking to get into this sector, but you're going to see a lot of that. Other one, FAMI, FAMI. Again, very interesting chart here. They are a mushroom company, but more the shiitake side, but very easily, they could easily predisposition to the medical side of this. It also is a China play. So on the periphery of mushrooms, there are other ones that also have interesting chart patterns and could potentially ride the coattails of the overall, mushroom stock hype cycle. I'm still going to be keeping an eye overall on CMPS. This is the one on the NASDAQ. There's no telling how high this can reach. There's a very good possibility that $100 per share is a possibility. We have just a gorgeous running bull flag here. Frankly, we could now quantify it like this, which is significantly larger here. Even if we just take our overall flagpole from our breakout here to where we basically started here, any break above this area here will put us into the mid 70s from just a measured move pole to flag to pole extension here. Be very curious to see if we get a gap up in this one on Monday as well as the other ones here. A lot of people need to digest the price action we have seen over the past week. This will get a lot more eyeballs onto this sector as well. And again, we're still in the latter days of 2020. I'm very excited for what this industry and a lot of these stocks potentially offer us over next year and beyond. But in terms of trading, it is very important to take profits on the way, to not overextend yourself, to not FOMO in. Listen, I'm a buyer of MMEDF, but I'm not going to put the bigger amounts that I was willing to invest down here at this price point currently, even though we have just a great looking blue sky breakout chart with technical, RSIs at the heights that they are, and even to have a weekly RSI, at 91. I mean, we have to keep these things into overall context. Just a tremendous chart overall, up 1,000% in just a couple of months here. But let's keep the overall perspective. A healthy chart would be consolidation after this explosion, finding areas of notable support, and only with that we can allow us to basically continue rising higher where a lot of these have potential and have even yet to have that advance onward. So with that, happy Saturday. Trade safe out there. This is not financial advice. Please do your own research and due diligence. These are just my thoughts, opinions, and ideas, but I'm very excited what this sector has to offer. My experience trading medical marijuana stocks over the years, I feel has prepared me for this sector to capitalize it the best I can, and my hope is to share some of my thoughts and ideas with you, fine folks, and potentially we can all do quite well in this sector together. Until next time, it's Big Jonas. Stay safe. Please hit that thumbs up button, follow, and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.